an antiquated culture.
Yeah.
It is. Law enforcement hasn't changed significantly since it started. And, just look at how we train in law enforcement. That's the way they've always done it. So when it comes to being, when it comes to mental health, you have that old school thinking of, well, I'm just going to bury it and not talk about it, right? And what they don't realize, or what they're starting to realize, is everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
And it's affecting everybody's performance. It's affecting the community as a whole, and often negatively, when you have the culture in the country now where people want to defund law enforcement or blame law enforcement for problems. And, your mental health is bad, your morale is bad, people are getting out, people don't want to be cops. It changes how people handle their day-to-day routine.
Yeah, absolutely. And why would you? I mean, you're just kind of getting shit on for everything, So I think that might be shifting a little bit.
It is. The pendulum's coming back for sure. And, we're going to keep doing our part to help, get that word out there. We are as nonpartisan as you can be. I don't care what side of the aisle you are on. We're talking about community safety, talking about keeping our kids safe and our families safe. Yeah. Politics shouldn't play into that.
Absolutely.
Right? And it hasn't. And for me, it hasn't at all. We've had people on both sides of the aisle at every level in politics and in community support our mission.
Well, it makes sense.
Let's fucking roll.
Shoot. All right, here we go. All right, welcome back. You're listening to Salty MF Goat. I'm Brad Banyas. And today we're really excited. We're at a cool venue, Sugar Hill Outdoors. It's an amazing venue. These guys have been so gracious to us, and we really appreciate that. So back in the McBastard studio next week. But today I have Andrew Sully Sullivan. Andrew is amazing, a military vet. Just an honor to be with him today. Welcome.
My pleasure.
Welcome.
Great to be here.
Yeah, great to be here. So I was really excited to talk to you. I know that you've probably done a million interviews, and everyone's asking about all the warfare and all that stuff, and I love it. So the guys did 12 tours, 12 duties, right? Afghanistan, Iraq. I mean, he's decorated tier 2, tier 1. If you want to check out Andrew, check him out online. I'm not going to go through all the medals that he's had, because he's had a lot, and he's definitely done justice to our country. So I appreciate that. But I wanted to talk about what you were doing now retired with Community First Project, and how you guys are like helping with kind of the cops, the first responders, and active shooters. And I'm going to let you roll, bro.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Great to be here. And obviously you can't beat the setting. So
it's amazing.
I want to be back, but
amazing.
No, I appreciate it. I joined because of 9/11. I've always been driven by service and wanting to make a difference and be part of a solution on a much larger level. And for me, that was being a SEAL. And it got towards the end of my career when I knew like the body wasn't keeping up with the mind. And I started entertaining the idea of retiring, but the desire to serve never went away. So when I did retire in 2020, I started a company with the goal of training cops. And I did that because I trained cops throughout my military career. It's kind of the way that we give back to that community for all they do for us. And I realized there was a big need. And for me, that was my next mission. That was my next mountaintop. I was going to get out. I was going to share the knowledge I got through the almost 2 decades in the SEAL teams and 12 deployments and all the combat with the people that are protecting our kids every day, or going into active shooter situations and doing the best they can, but also realizing that, we're not training them the way they need to be trained. So I started Blue Force Strategies, which is my for-profit company, and realized that I was only affecting the military and the federal government community. Those are my clients.
Right.
And not that they didn't need the help, not that they couldn't use the help, but that's not the people that are going into my kid's school in the event something happens there, or in a grocery store if I'm there with my family. That's a patrol officer.
Yeah.
And the people, the group that I wanted to train, what I realized within the first 2 months, couldn't afford it. There was no budget. There wasn't enough manning. There wasn't time. There wasn't a demand, because we didn't even realize that there was a problem.
Yeah.
And that didn't sit right with me. So, around early 2022, I came up with this idea of starting a 501c3, raising money, and then bringing in all my former teammates to share their knowledge on the tactical side, how we deal with stress and critical incidents with the people that truly need it, which is law enforcement.
And that's awesome. I was reading, like, I did obviously some background on you, and your kind of philosophy of train for the worst situation always, right? And that's really not it's kind of in a civilian world, it might be counterintuitive because you might only have an active shooter. I mean, it's rare as far as statistics go,
100%.
but the fatalities could be huge.
It's catastrophic when it happens.
Yeah.
It seldom happens. And I know we see it in the media all the time, and it seems like it's happening more now than ever.
Right.
And it probably is. But at the end of the day, most cops will never shoot their gun in a line of duty. Never. Most cops will never be in an active shooter situation. But when they are, we want them to know what to do because those situations are so critical and people die.
Yeah, and they're there. They're the guys that are on the ground.
They're the only ones on the ground right now in most cases.
Right.
And why wouldn't we want to provide them with the level of training commensurate with what they're actually being asked to do? And that's not happening right now. Well, we're asking them to do something and we're not training for that. And then we're punishing them when they fail.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, because, you know, being a tier 1 operator and being, you know, in situations that are just, you couldn't even imagine all the time, like all day, all night, you know, all week, all month. Like, how do you get someone, a policeman or a first responder, like, how do you get them in that mindset where, you know, they might just be on their daily routine, you know, doing what they're doing, checking on neighborhoods, pulling people over, whatever they're doing. How do you get someone like that in a mindset to where, like, you were for that tier 1 opportunity, that tier 1 moment? How do you, like, what do you take them through?
It's really hard, right? Because we're talking about changing culture.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the culture in law enforcement right now, it's just not prioritized. And along with training in general isn't prioritized. You know, we train on the job in law enforcement.
Right.
You have your academy, you show up and they teach you to do it the way that they do it. And unfortunately, you can't train for things that happen once in a career when you train on the job.
Yeah.
So you're thrown to the fire and you either pass or fail. Yeah. And there's no in between. So, you know, I come from a community where we vet our guys so heavily from buds to, you know, advanced selection that we're taking the cream of the crop and guys who have a different mindset and a different ability. And then we're teaching all this advanced stuff. We don't have the luxury of that in law enforcement, right? If we started scrutinizing police officers to the level of SEALs, there wouldn't be enough police officers in the country. Yeah. So we have to be able to find that middle ground right now. And kind of what you're saying is helping people realize that this is a problem, that we need to think of better ways to train our police officers that's more online with what they're seeing on a day-to-day basis in that worst case. Right. Because if you learn the worst case, the rest of your job is easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? There's nothing from my training, you know, on the high level tactics, but it's very fundamentally based. That can't be used for a traffic stop. Yeah. That can't be used for a warrant service. Right. You just know that when things go wrong, you have tools in your tool bag.
Absolutely.
To solve the problem, and you're not just thrown to the wolves, which is kind of what's happening right now.
Yeah, and I also liked about, you know, kind of how you guys approach, you know, instead of actively going with force, a more negotiative type approach, trying to like assess really what's going on and how to de-escalate. I was reading a lot about how you were focused a lot on de-escalation, which I think, you know, even in an active shooter situation, right? If it's a hostage or something, you want someone to be trying to at least talk them down to where they don't kill the hostage. So
active shooter and hostage, you know, are two different things. Like barricaded and being able to identify what scenario you're in is part of the battle. And, you know, something like Uvalde, we see that they didn't know what situation they were in.
Yeah, that's part of
and they failed to act. Overcome by circumstance, overcome by events. And the only way to fix that problem is to train those scenarios. And that's just not happening in law enforcement. You know, I tell people some of the hardest stuff I ever saw in my time in the teams was in training. Because when we go out on an operation, we train for the worst, hope for the best, and 90% of the time, it's best case scenario. But when it does go south, we're ready to react, and we're not overcome by those circumstances in most cases. But you know, we put ourselves through the ringer in training so that we don't have to do it real world.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I kind of equate you guys. It's so funny because, you know, the SEALs and, you know, the tier 1 guys and even Green Berets and the whole special forces. I mean, like, you're like the elite athletes, you know, in the NBA or the whatever, without a lot of recognition because there's a lot of security behind and secret things you can't tell. But just the physicality of it, the mental kind of anguish that's got to be from a stress perspective. You know, I kudos to that because it's insane.
It's a lot of stress, but it's the right guys for the job. And people are there because they want that stress. They want to be the top. You know, it's like playing baseball your whole life and then never playing in a game,
Right.
right? So it's we
Just gotta
select the best,
love
we
it.
teach them, and every day I go to work, I have to perform. Every day I showed up, I couldn't take a break because there was somebody behind me that wanted my job.
Yeah.
And if I didn't do my job that day, they were going to take my job from them. And what am I going to say? Well, I was tired. I didn't feel like putting in the extra hour.
And somebody got shot or killed or whatever. So the stakes are a little higher.
They're higher, but that's why we're so good at what we do.
Yeah.
And I also think we're really good at analyzing our successes and failures to drive and change tactics, if that makes sense. Like, we go out on an operation, we come back, we sit down from top to bottom, we go through everything we did right, everything we did wrong, and what we need to do to fix it for the next time. That's training and rewards. And we do that every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even, a lot of this is applicable just in general life and business. Businesses should be following, probably maybe not something stringent, but something to practice that you just define. What do we do wrong? What do we do well? How do we change it? Because that may, in the business world, that may go months or years or quarters or whatever, or so someone finds out, oh shit, we could have just had a meeting and fixed this shit. And I don't know. Are you doing any consulting like that?
I do. Yeah, I'll do so. For the nonprofit, I'll go talk to companies. They'll donate for me to come in, and we'll do leadership style training. And it's shocking to me, things that I think are just, I don't want to say common sense because that's not insulting, but things to me that are second nature because I've done it throughout my career aren't even really a thought.
Yeah.
And when you look at the business world where people are financially driven in most cases, right? And a lot of times holding on to information is a way to individual success.
Yeah.
And in my world, holding on to information costs people lives, right? And that goes between units. Like if I have an op and we have something go wrong, our failure, let's say we fail. If I don't share that with the Army version and they go do the same thing and someone dies because we didn't share that information, then I'm fucked up, right? So we try to get rid of those silos in our world and to be able to teach that to people in the business world. You see the eyes open and just thinking, well, at the end of the day, you're probably going to make more money by adopting some more community-based policies in your world. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't mean to digress to the business world, but I just think when I was reading kind of your philosophy and what you do and how you kind of go through it, it just rang true. Like shit, I mean, this makes a lot of sense. So you're huge more on a personal level around mental health. You're really big in that. I saw that you were doing some things around like pediatric cancer. Any particular, but something happened. If you don't want to go personal, you don't have to. Did something happen that like?
No. So I had a teammate, Adam LaRue, who got out of the command, my God, over 10 years ago now. And on one of the deployments, his mom had died of cancer.
Shit.
And so he came home, and throughout her battle, he spent a lot of time in the cancer wards, supporting his mother. But he also saw the battle that these kids were going through on the pediatric side and how difficult it was for these kids to overcome that adversity at such a young age in a situation where they had no choice but to be resilient.
Absolutely.
And he came up with this really great idea, and it was my introduction to nonprofit work, to start a nonprofit called One Summit, which paired Navy SEALs with pediatric cancer patients to go indoor rock climbing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And what's great about it is every oncologist, branch you talk to, they're like, you're fucking crazy. You're not taking kids out of here to go rock climbing with Navy SEALs. And finally, he got one hospital buy off on it, and it was so overwhelmingly successful that all the other hospitals started jumping on board, and now we're doing it in 4 states.
Oh, that's awesome.
Quarterly. And I'm on the board still, and I would say the biggest thing for me that I was affected by that made me really want to focus on nonprofit work was the fact that I think I got more out of that than any of the kids. And watching these kids and their level of resiliency in a situation where it'd be so easy just to give up, and smiling and pushing through and being successful and overcoming that disease, it touched me. And I'm like, sign me up wherever you want me. What can I do? I want to help. And they're still going strong and running a great nonprofit and, helping the community.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, the law enforcement is definitely lucky to have you guys. I would think that, I know you guys have been, you're moving pretty successful with that and it's growing and growing. So like what could we tell the audience, like how they could get involved? What kind of sponsors are good sponsors for you guys outside, maybe there's federal funds, whatever it is, state funds. What are other really good like money ways for you guys to spread this across the U.S.?
Well, certainly at the end of the day, federal funding, state funding, that's gonna drive our long-term goals, and we're working on that, and we've had some success in certain places, not federally yet, but we're going to. We've been very grassroots. We've been spreading the words, doing podcasts, going and meeting people in person, talking to departments, and we've had a lot of people that just want to support their local department who are donating for us to come in and train.
Yeah.
We'll do fundraisers, we'll do concerts, we'll do shooting events, whatever it takes to get money through the door that we can turn around and put back into law enforcement. We're going to do it. And we've been successful 14, 15 states so far at raising money. And, we see that in every state.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of time. But
like if you wanted to put on a state by state, I'm not trying to get into the financials, but the state by state of it, if you wanted to do that state by state, what kind of funds would you need to do that?
Like the short-term goal would be $1 million per state.
Per state.
And we can make a huge impact. Yeah. My long-term goals is to have regionalized training facilities, which is a bigger upfront cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then I can start bringing departments to me, and the cost per training would drop significantly. Again, that's a long-term goal. We have to get buy-in at a lot of levels to make that happen, but I think it's definitely doable. We're always looking for the right strategic partners. You would think places like Walmart, Target, all these big box stores would jump at the opportunity to help, because these are where some of these active shooter incidents are happening. Athletic programs, people that want the positive press of bringing in people to build community safety. We've had success with some universities bringing us in to train their university departments, right? And by donating to do that. So there's nothing that we won't entertain, because it's too important not to do it.
Well, I don't know. I'm just throwing off the cuff. This is out to all the professional services, the NBA, the NFL, the Major League Baseball. I mean, these guys are tier 1 athletes. They're athletes. Instead of that, they're protecting us. They could have been on the field playing a sport. Call out to all those big companies specifically around the sports area to get involved, because I think it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of synergies. There's a lot of things you could do. So that's just me saying it off the damn cuff.
I appreciate it. No, it's true. And like half of my job is advocating for law enforcement and trying to help people realize that we have a problem.
Right.
Because, what you see on TV, what you see in movies doesn't really, resemble what we see in reality. And the same thing with SEAL movies and things, right? So it's garbage. But at the end of the day, people have to realize that if we don't invest in this community law enforcement, then we're not going to see a better result when it comes to these incidents actually happening.
Well, even though, like you say, as far as statistics, like frequency low, but the impact to human life and community and ongoing, huge, right?
And think about the financial impact to that community, to the departments, to the city, state, wherever they're in.
Absolutely. From
lawsuits, from excessive force lawsuit, whatever the case may be, even if it's 100% justified, when you could have just invested that money up front and had a different outcome where everybody's at.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
well, it's what is it? No one wants to be a part of the process, but they want to be part of the outcome. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So everyone typically. So you and I so a couple things just so the audience. So Sully, I saw he was from Worcester, Massachusetts, Worcester, and I had spent some time in Westboro, so I'm a lot older than him, but I like that about the Boston.
A lot older.
Wait,
a lot older.
I won't say when your next birthday is. I'll be genuine. He looks like he's 28. Let's be honest. But so I thought that was really great. He busted our balls on the Atlanta Patriot game. He won't let it go, but I've got to know Sully at a couple things we were at, and to be honest with you, it's really funny how how humble people are about the things they've done, and you'd never know. And I appreciate that about you, because you're just an everyday guy, good guy, very, very calm guy. And what you're doing for the community is amazing. And I love how you said that, this is my next mission.
Yeah.
We've interviewed a lot of veterans, and we've dealt with veteran suicide and some other things, and a lot of the team, everyone, whether it was Marine, whether it was Navy, whether it was Army, whether it was Air Force, they always said when they got out, they just didn't feel that teamwork or purpose. And I think that's awesome that you.
Well, I appreciate it. It was huge. And like I had my mental health issues that, I was fortunate enough at that level of that command where we had on staff people wanting to help. And I got help when I needed it, and it shaped my life. It really did. And what it taught me was culturally, we needed change. And for me, giving back to people in my community, it was what drove that change for me. And the way that it made me feel, that was my mental health.
Yeah.
Right. And that helped to push me to do what I do now. And the fact that I get to hire all these guys out of my world and
awesome.
give them purpose and a mission,
Yeah.
I know I'm helping them, whether they want to admit it or not. I know that is mental health. And, we're trying to share that knowledge with the law enforcement community who's about 10 years behind us on the mental health front. And realize that we need a cultural shift, and we need to talk about this stuff, and it needs to be open communication about problems, because we're all going through it at that level, and we just don't want to talk about it.
Why do you think that is, and specifically in the law enforcement community? Because a lot of vets are probably now in the law enforcement community, I think. So they've had to see it.
It's an antiquated culture.
Yeah,
it is. Law enforcement hasn't changed significantly since it started. And just look at how we train in law enforcement. That's the way they've always done it. So when it comes to being, when it comes to mental health, you have that old school thinking of, well, I'm just going to bury it and not talk about it, right? And what they don't realize, or what they're starting to realize, is everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
And it's affecting everybody's performance. It's affecting the community as a whole, and often negatively, when you have the culture in the country now where people want to defund law enforcement or blame law enforcement for problems. And, your mental health is bad, your morale is bad, people are getting out, people don't want to be cops. It changes how people handle their day-to-day routine.
Yeah, absolutely. And why would you? I mean, you're just kind of getting shit on for everything, So I think that might be shifting a little bit.
It is. The pendulum's coming back for sure. And, we're going to keep doing our part to help, get that word out there. We are as nonpartisan as you can be. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. We're talking about community safety, talking about keeping our kids safe and our families safe. Politics shouldn't play into that.
Absolutely.
And it hasn't, and for me, it hasn't at all. We've had people on both sides of the aisle at every level in politics and in community support our mission.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it's your community, it's your kids, your public. I mean, you should be concerned about it. You should be investing in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, nothing worse. I mean, I have 4 kids, but nothing worse when all the shit thing is like when you get a call or the school's been locked down and you're just like, oh shit, that's happening here. Like you're like, nobody's really safe. It doesn't really matter where it's at. It's not like, oh, that was in a shitty part of town, or it's just insane.
Yeah. And, think about, what happened to Israel and Gaza.
Absolutely.
And what's to say that couldn't happen on the Mexican border? What's to say we couldn't have people coming across with a coordinated attack? And I guarantee we are not prepared for it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The outcome would be very similar.
Yeah.
And we're going to be sitting around after the fact talking about, well, what could we have done different?
Yeah.
And, well, I'm telling you what we could fucking do different, right? You just got to listen, and people are listening.
Yeah.
But I'll keep advocating, I'll keep getting the word out. And I hate to talk about worst case scenarios, but you have to be prepared for worst case.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, and you were, I'm kind of blank in my mind right now, but you were talking about surviving the day, right? Like not worrying about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen, but surviving the day. Could you give what's Sully's top 3, top 5, surviving the day for anybody.
So I have these rules I like to talk about, and I'll share them with you. I usually, when I talk to the business folks, I talk about it. And when I was a new guy at SEAL Team 2, my boss, mentor, still one of the greatest guys I've worked for, he came in and he just slapped these rules on the wall, and they were geared towards the new guys who were going on their first deployment, and we were going to Baghdad.
Right.
And there was no amplifying information. It's just like, here are the rules. You take them and you assign value to those rules. Like, how do you perceive them? And what do you think? And it was really genius when you think about it, because for me, I've taught those rules a million times now going forward, and they're always changing. And they're always being adapted to fit where I am in life and how do I have the best possible outcome. And so rule number 1, be cool. And, we think of cool. We think of, I always think of the Fonz.
Yeah,
But really, it's be
yeah.
cool. It's like when you are under stress, if you can't keep composed, you are going to fail.
Yeah.
So when you go into those stressful situations, whether it's familial, whether it's work or whatever it is, the cooler head will prevail. We've all heard that. So staying cool and learning how to stay cool under stress is huge.
Yeah.
Rule number 2, be aggressive. And again, not like towards one another, but the way that I like to think about aggression is I am always trying to be the best at my job. And I'm aggressively pursuing ways to be better at my job, because the second I stop trying to learn, someone's going to take my job from me. So for me, that's aggression. Rule number 3 is be deliberate.
Deliberate.
And we talk about in the SEAL teams is plan your dive your plan. And we have contingencies for everything. But if you have a deliberate idea of how you're going to handle situations, then you're going to handle them well. And you might have a couple contingencies that you have to answer to, but at least you're prepared. And to me, that's about being prepared for any situation and handling it the way that you plan it out.
Right.
Cool.
That's 3 good ones.
3 good ones.
You got some more?
I got 2 more. Yeah.
Let's hear them, man.
Do the right thing. Right. It seems simple, but you'd be shocked at how many people, when the eyes aren't on them, will not do the right thing. They'll take the easy path. But if you have values and you have your mission and you can combine the 2, you're going to make good decisions. You're going to have people support you, and you're going to be a valuable leader, right? Because people see that. And people want to be that.
Absolutely.
And if you're the role model who has those values, who's constantly doing the right thing, even when the right thing is the hard thing, you are going to inspire people to do that.
Absolutely.
So, and that's a big one. And the last one, the last one, which I love, and for whatever reason, it to me, this is a culmination of everything, but it's act like you own the place. And if you're going into a situation and you have accountability for your actions and you own failure, then you can't be held down. Like, you are the person that is in charge. And that is a mentality, and that is a physical action.
Absolutely.
Right. And to me, that is the culmination of the 4 ones before that, and people can assign whatever value to these they want. But for me, throughout my career in the SEAL teams and now post SEAL teams, that's where I am, and that's what I teach.
Absolutely.
And that's what I tell young kids going through BUDS that want to be SEALs. Hey, if you follow these 5 rules and you adapt them throughout your career, you're going to be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Because you can't, to me, confidence, like our young guys that we deal with, I just tell them, you got to have confidence. You got to believe in yourself regardless, because people around you sometimes don't believe in you. Your family may not believe in you, your girlfriend, your whatever. And hey, no offense, but no offense. But I mean,
take notes.
But they may not. And you've got to own it, own your account, be accountable to it. I think that's just an awesome message. I wanted to get that out of you because I think, I know everyone loves all the grit stuff, but man, I mean, you have so much to offer from all the training and the experiences and thing you have. And I think all this does apply to all kinds of parts of life, whether it's family, business, law enforcement, whatever it be. So what, tell the audience where to find out what you guys are doing at Community First, how to get involved, and we'll put all this shit in the notes as well. But I want the community out there. This is a good cause. Sully's a good guy. You can tell he's a good guy, and he's got the credentials to do it. So that to me is always important. A lot of people talk what they did and boast about what they do. This guy would never boast. He wouldn't tell you what he did if you met him. He's not that kind of guy. So anyways, let's hear it.
C1P.org is our website. That's the easiest way to check us out. We're on Instagram. We're all the social media platforms. We have a presence. And even if you can't afford to support, go follow us. Share the message, because half the battle is getting the message out, and you never know who's going to see it. So follow us, share us, like us. If you want to donate, you can donate directly on the website. If you're a police officer and you're watching this and you need help, hit me up on the website. The email goes directly to me and to my chief of operations, and we'll get back to you. If we can't afford to train you, we'll come up with a plan, hopefully raise some money and figure out how. But this is relational for me. This isn't transactional. I want these relationships to last, and we want to be there to share the knowledge that we accrued over 2 decades of combat with the people that are keeping us safe.
Absolutely. I mean, and it also just the the training in general, not just active shooting, the training, the philosophy of what you guys have learned and done and your rules, I mean, I think they apply to anything.
They do. Yep.
So, well, folks, Andrew Sully Sullivan, you heard him here on the Salt Team FGO podcast. Go check him out. Support if you can. If you can't, send it to someone that can.
Yep.
Hey, I'm still on you sports leagues, NBA, NFL. You guys get with it. These are the most
Bring it.
elite athletes in the world. So,
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thanks for everything.
that's all, folks.